What's up, guys? I didn't pour my whiskey. What's up, guys? Welcome to gwhisky. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Highland Park 18. Stick around. Okay, so we're looking at a Highland Park today. Highland Park, of course, very famous, very prolific distillery, and Highland Park is a frustrating brand because they're one of my favorites, but they're also very silly. But they do put out bangers every once in a while. Sure, a lot of their stuff is ridiculous, and you'll come across some overpriced, no age stated, Dark Heroes of the Dragon Sword Warriors, Courage of the Viking Blade. But opposite to that, you have stuff like the Cast Strength, which is wonderful, the now discontinued Dark Origins. There's a few good ones out there. And here's something that's interesting about Highland Park. I don't know if this is true or not. I've seen these images floating around and I can't confirm if they're real, but I'm putting them out there. I'm showing you guys because I am a gossipy little thing. But it does look like Highland Park is headed for a rebrand, and it seems like they're doing away with the whole Viking theme. Now, for these labels, you can tell that they're 750 mils and 43% for the 12-year-olds. That implies that this one's intended for the American market. I'm hoping the international market also gets stuff like the 12-year-old at 43%, but I doubt it. The cynic in me is not expecting that. I'm not going to hold my breath, but it would be nice. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, 43, that's nothing to get excited about, Jeff. That's true, but I've crunched the numbers, and as it turns out, 43 is higher than 40. If you're in the States, you don't have this problem. A lot of the 12-year-old and basic expressions that the rest of us get at 40%, you guys have at 43%, so lucky you. But yeah, I am still hoping that if this is in fact real, that the international release will also be at 43%. A boy can dream. Anyway, none of that matters. Forget that gossip. Today, we're here to look at our 18-year-old. Now, one thing of note is that this is not the expensive 18-year-old at 46%. This one is the expensive 18-year-old at 43%. Expensive for you, not for me. We'll get to that. Now, if we compare this to this one right here, the travel retail at 46%, on one hand, yeah, we are worse off because we have a lower ABV, but on the other hand, this one is cheaper. Is it cheap? No, but it's cheaper, so that's good. Either way, this one is more affordable, and it's certainly much more available than the travel retail one. So if you guys are going to end up with a Highland Park 18, it's likely going to be this one. So let's have a look-see. Let's take a look at this one and see where I land on it. In the meantime, if you guys will kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, so we have already established that this one comes in at 43%. It is probably chill filtered, but it is natural color. So typical Highland Park presentation here. It's normal, it's kind of whatever. It's definitely not my favorite look. I don't hate it. I don't really feel any which way about it. So for score, we'll give this 3 out of 5. It does not say not chill filtered. It does not say natural color. On the back, we have a batch code, and I didn't realize this when I bought it. I didn't realize how old this bottle was when I got it. This batch is from 2017, so it's a full 7 years old. So that is one thing to remember throughout the rest of this review, is that I am not reviewing a current version of the Highland Park 18, and there might be differences, so let's keep that in mind. All right, so on the nose, this is very richly sherried. I get a lot of nuttiness here. I get stuff like toffee apple, caramel, there's red fruits, there's orange oil, there's cinnamon. There's also some florals, there's some earthiness. There's very little detectable peat here. Nice nose. All right, on the palate and finish, I get sherry, floral honey, toffee, and nuts up front. Really nicely balanced sweetness here. I also get caramel, there's heather, there's earth in here. There's plenty of spices. I get cinnamon, I get nutmeg, just a little bit of pepper in there as well. And cola notes. There's a lot of different cola notes in here. So I get like cherry Coke, vanilla Coke, any kind of Coke you can think of. Not that one. There's also a nice barley note in here. There's honey nut Cheerios. Lots of great flavors in this. Short to medium finish. Okay, so this is beautiful stuff, but I do want to reiterate that this is a very old batch, 7 years old. It's from 2017, so it might not represent the Highland Park 18s of today. In fact, I've heard that it doesn't. I've heard that this has gone downhill in recent years, but I can neither confirm nor deny if there's any truth to that statement, Your Honor. But what I can say about mine is that this is absolutely delicious. I think it's a beautiful whiskey, and it does what a lot of 18-year-olds don't quite pull off, where it balances the distillate in the casks very nicely. After 18 years, that floral heathery peat that Highland Park is so known for is much, much calmer. In fact, it's almost imperceptible. It is in there, but it's taken on more of an earthy quality than what you would consider a traditionally peaty quality. But it's good, and I like it. What matters most to me is that the essence of Highland Park is still there. So we get the florals, we get the barley, we get that peaty earthiness. It's all in there, and as I said, well balanced with the casks. And of course, this being an older whiskey with a higher age statement, we do get more maturity, sophistication, complexity. This is a calmer Highland Park. So if you want a loud Highland Park, maybe you could check out the cast strength expressions. You could turn to the IB world. There's a lot of great Highland Park IBs out there. But yeah, if you're looking for big, bold intensity, this ain't it. Now, if we compare this to the 12, of course, this is going to be better. Now, a lot of people don't like the 12. The 12 is actually a very divisive whiskey, even among enthusiasts. A lot of people appreciate that it's a nice all-rounder. It's an easy sipping all-rounder at a low price point. And other people are like, no, you suck. Personally, I don't mind the 12. I don't get excited about it, but because it's so budget friendly and because it's got that sort of all-rounder quality, I'm cool with it. Obviously, this is much better, and it should be. So of course, the big question after that is it worth the jump in price? And we will get to that in a second. Next up, if we're going to compare it to the 46% travel retail version, that one is of course going to be better. It gives us more intensity. I feel like it's more heavily sherried and even a little bit more smoky. There's more of a peaty element to that one. And if I had to choose between the two, I certainly would go for the 46% one. But again, that's a value issue, which we'll get to. But for now, if we just look at this as a standalone whiskey and we don't compare it to anything else, I think it's very, very nice. I think it's delicious. It is a classic Highland Park in the sense that we do get a touch of peat, and in this case, a tiny touch of peat. We get the sherry and we get that beautiful and unique distillate. It works. And finally, if we're talking about intensity, at 43%, I don't drink this and feel like it's watery. I know a lot of people out there do, and I get that. That might be a bigger problem with the more modern batches. I don't know. But for what you're getting here in terms of like flavor and intensity, at 43%, I can't really complain. I'm fine with it. Thing is, this is a bit of a difficult review because I'm pretty sure that I paid substantially less than what you'll be asked to pay for this bottle. That's number one. And number two is I'm reviewing something that came out 7 years back. So it might not represent the bottle that we get today or that's available today. So you can take all of this with a grain of salt. But for me, for what I paid and for what I'm getting from this whiskey, I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm going to score it 88. Now, before we hit on value, I do want to say a quick thank you to all my patrons and channel members. Guys, thank you so much for the support. And if you guys want to help out, if you want to help keep the channel financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I've got both Patreon and PayPal linked down below. Anything and everything helps, guys. And again, massive thank you to those of you who are already supporting me. Now let's check out value. Okay, so value is going to be touchy. As I said, probably not as good for you. I got a great deal on this one. Keep in mind, Taiwan, right out the gate, is a very inexpensive market for single malt Scotch whiskey. Even at full price, this one sells for around 100 US, so about 80 pounds. And that's a pretty good deal in itself. But I got this one on sale for 80 US, just under 65 pounds. And as far as I'm concerned, that is just an absurd deal. Now, I don't know if it was like a fault in the company's system or if somebody made a mistake because they only had one bottle left in the shop when I grabbed it, took it home, popped it, loved it right away, and went to a couple other branches the next day to try and find it at the same price, and I couldn't. Either way, that's way cheaper than anything you're going to pay for it. I do want to rub that in a little bit because I'm petty like that. But yeah, all kidding aside, my deal on this was absolutely incredible, so that definitely did affect how I feel about the bottle. So again, take this whole review with a grain of salt. Okay, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And this one is definitely one I want to hear from you about. What do you think of this one? But also, what are you being asked to pay for this one? What's the price of this one in your market? I know it changes in a lot of different markets, and I know for the most part, a lot of people consider this way too expensive, especially when you factor in the ABV. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one. Also down below, if there's anything you want to see reviewed or if you have any suggestions or comments, let me know. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.